Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
The time at which life ends, continuing until dead. She stayed until his death. The time when something ends. It was the death of all his plans. The event of dying or departure from life. Her death came as a terrible shock. A final state. The absence of life or state of being dead. He seemed more content in death than he had ever been in life. The act of killing. He had 2 deaths on his conscience. The permanent end of all life functions in an organism or part of an organism. The animal died a painful death. The personification of death. Persist for a specified period of time. The bad weather lasted for 3 days. The time at which life ends, continuing until dead. A struggle to the last. The item at the end. Last, I'll discuss family values. Not to be altered or undone. The arbiter will have the last say. Holding device shaped like a human foot that is used to fashion or repair shoes. The temporal end, the concluding time. Continue to live and avoid dying. How long can a person last without food and water? Occurring at or forming an end or termination. The last days of the dinosaurs. Conclusive in a process or progression. A last resort. Highest in extent or degree. To the last measure of human endurance. Lowest in rank or importance. Last prize. The final stage or concluding parts of an event or occurrence. I had to miss the last of the movie. A person's dying act, the final thing a person can do. He breathed his last. A unit of capacity for grain equal to 80 bushels. A unit of weight equal to 4,000 pounds. Coming after all others in time or space or degree or being the only one remaining. The last time I saw Paris. Immediately past. Last Thursday. Most unlikely or unsuitable. The last person we would have suspected. Occurring at the time of death. His last words. The last or lowest in an ordering or series. He was the last to leave. The time when something ends. Transfer by a lease or by a will. Eagerly desirous. Dying to hear who won. The time when something ends. A dying of old hopes. In or associated with the process of passing from life or ceasing to be. A dying man. Pass from physical life and lose all bodily attributes and functions necessary to sustain life. The event of dying or departure from life. Upon your decease, the capital will pass to your grandchildren. A coming to an end of a contract period. The expiry of his driver's license. The event of dying or departure from life. An event, or the result of an event, that completely destroys something. The termination of something by causing so much damage to it that it cannot be repaired or no longer exists. A final state. A piece of cloth that is left over after the rest has been used or sold. Bring to an end or halt. She ended their friendship when she found out that he had once been convicted of a crime. Be the end of. Be the last or concluding part of. This sad scene ended the movie. The state of affairs that a plan is intended to achieve and that, when achieved, terminates behavior intended to achieve it. The ends justify the means. The last section of a communication. The point in time at which something ends. The end of the year. Have an end, in a temporal, spatial, or quantitative sense, either spatial or metaphorical. My property ends by the bushes. The final stage or concluding parts of an event or occurrence. The end was exciting. A final state. He came to a bad end. Either extremity of something that has length. The end of the pier. A boundary marking the extremities of something. The end of town. A final part or section. We have given it at the end of the section since it involves the calculus. American football. A position on the line of scrimmage. No one wanted to play end. Football. The person who plays at one end of the line of scrimmage. The end managed to hold on to the pass. One of two places from which people are communicating to each other. The phone rang at the other end. Put an end to. The terrible news ended our hopes that he had survived. The part you were expected to play. He held up his end. The surface at either extremity of a three-dimensional object. One end of the box was marked, this side up. Event whose occurrence ends something. His death marked the ending of an era. The end of a word, a suffix or inflectional ending or final morpheme. I don't like words that have ism as an ending. The act of ending something. The last section of a communication. The point in time at which something ends. The ending of warranty period. The act of making something different, as e.g. the size of a garment. An event that occurs when something passes from one state or phase to another. The act of revising or altering, involving reconsideration and modification. Lay aside, abandon, or leave for another. The car changed lanes. Cause to change, make different, cause a transformation. The discussion has changed my thinking about the issue. Exchange or replace with another, usually of the same kind or category. He changed his name. An event that occurs when something passes from one state or phase to another. The change was intended to increase sales. Become different in some particular way, without permanently losing one's or its former characteristics or essence. Her mood changes in accordance with the weather. Give to, and receive from, one another. Would you change places with me? Become deeper in tone. His voice began to change when he was 12 years old. Change from one vehicle or transportation line to another. She changed in Chicago on her way to the East Coast. A difference that is usually pleasant. It is a refreshing change to meet a woman mechanic. A different or fresh set of clothes. She brought a change in her overnight bag. A relational difference between states, especially between states before and after some event. He attributed the change to their marriage. A thing that is different. He inspected several changes before selecting one. Change clothes. Put on different clothes. Coins of small denomination regarded collectively. He had a pocketful of change. Money received in return for its equivalent in a larger denomination or a different currency. He got change for a 20 and used it to pay the taxi driver. Remove or replace the coverings of. Father had to learn how to change the baby. The action of changing something. The change of government had no impact on the economy. The balance of money received when the amount you tender is greater than the amount due. I paid with a 20 and pocketed the change. The result of alteration or modification. There were marked changes in the lining of the lungs. Undergo a change. Become different in essence, losing one's or its original nature. She changed completely as she grew older. The act of making something different, as e.g. the size of a garment. An event that occurs when something passes from one state or phase to another. The neighborhood had undergone few modifications since his last visit years ago. The grammatical relation that exists when a word qualifies the meaning of the phrase. Slightly modified copy, not an exact copy. A modification of last year's model. Indicate through a symbol, formula, etc. The territory occupied by a nation. A politically organized body of people under a single government. The state has elected a new president. Chemistry. The three traditional states of matter are solids, fixed shape and volume, and liquids, fixed volume and shaped by the container, and gases, filling the container. The solid state of water is called ice. The territory occupied by one of the constituent administrative districts of a nation. His state is in the deep south. Put before. The federal department in the United States that sets and maintains foreign policies. Express in words. State your opinion. A state of depression or agitation. He was in such a state you just couldn't reason with him. The group of people comprising the government of a sovereign state. The state has lowered its income tax. The way something is with respect to its main attributes. The current state of knowledge. The act of terminating a life. Mark for deletion, rub off, or erase. Kill these lines in the president's speech. End or extinguish by forceful means. Thwart the passage of. Kill emotion. Drink down entirely. She killed a bottle of brandy that night. The act of terminating a life. Be fatal. Cigarettes kill. Be the source of great pain for. These new shoes are killing me. Cause the death of, without intention. She was killed in the collision of 3 cars. Cause to cease operating. Kill the engine. Cause to die. Put to death, usually intentionally or knowingly. This man killed several people when he tried to rob a bank. Deprive of life. AIDS has killed thousands in Africa. Destroy a vitally essential quality of or in. Eating artichokes kills the taste of all other foods. Hit with great force. He killed the ball. Hit with so much force as to make a return impossible, in racket games. She killed the ball. Overwhelm with hilarity, pleasure, or admiration. The comedian was so funny, he was killing me. The body of an animal, or bodies of animals, killed by a person or another animal. The destruction of an enemy plane or ship or tank or missile. The pilot reported 2 kills during the mission. Tire out completely. The daily stress of her work is killing her. Very funny. A killing joke. An event that causes someone to die. The act of terminating a life. A very large profit. Biology. A natural phenomenon involving living plants and animals. Of great gravity or crucial import, requiring serious thought. Grave responsibilities. A mark, placed above a vowel to indicate pronunciation. Dignified and somber in manner or character and committed to keeping promises. A grave God-fearing man. Carve, cut, or etch into a material or surface. Engrave a pen. Shape, a material like stone or wood, by whittling away at it. A place for the burial of a corpse, especially beneath the ground and marked by a tombstone. He put flowers on his mother's grave. Causing fear or anxiety by threatening great harm. A grave situation. Death of a person. He went to his grave without forgiving me. The amount by which the cost of a business exceeds its revenue. The company operated at a loss last year. Military personnel lost by death or capture. The disadvantage that results from losing something. His loss of credibility led to his resignation. Euphemistic expressions for death. Gradual decline in amount or activity. Weight loss. Something that is lost. The car was a total loss. The act of losing someone or something. Everyone expected him to win, so his loss was a shock. The experience of losing a loved one. He sympathized on the loss of their grandfather. The act of departing. Euphemistic expressions for death. Advancing toward a goal. Persuading him was easy going. In full operation. A going concern. The death of 1 million people. They calibrate the effects of atom bombs in megadeaths. Any experience that causes intense suffering. Death that is imposed because of the person's adherence of a religious faith or cause. A death resulting from an accident or a disaster. A variation that deviates from the standard or norm. The act of departing. Euphemistic expressions for death. Part with a possession or right. Let something fall or spill from a container. Music. The act or manner of terminating a musical phrase or tone. A device that when pressed will release part of a mechanism. Activity that frees or expresses creative energy or emotion. The act of liberating someone or something. Grant freedom to. free from confinement. Make assets available. Release the holdings in the dictator's bank account. Release, as from one's grip. Release, gas or energy, as a result of a chemical reaction or physical decomposition. A legal document evidencing the discharge of a debt or obligation. The act of allowing a fluid to escape. Prepare an issue for public distribution or sale. Eliminate a substance. The plant releases a gas. The termination of someone's employment, leaving them free to depart. Make information available for publication. Release the list with the names of the prisoners. An announcement distributed to members of the press in order to supplement or replace an oral presentation. Euphemistic expressions for death. Generate and separate from cells or bodily fluids. Release a hormone into the bloodstream. A formal written statement of relinquishment. A process that liberates or discharges something. There was a sudden release of oxygen. Merchandise issued for sale or public showing, especially a record or film. A new release from the London Symphony Orchestra. A death resulting from an accident or a disaster. The quality of being able to cause death or fatal disasters. The act of expelling air from the lungs. A coming to an end of a contract period. Euphemistic expressions for death. Move out of or depart from. An opening that permits escape or release. Pass from physical life and lose all bodily attributes and functions necessary to sustain life. Euphemistic expressions for death. Lose the lead. The act of going out. Lasting a very short time. A passing fancy. Hasty and without attention to detail, not thorough. A passing glance. A bodily reaction of changing from one place or stage to another. The passing of flatus. Success in satisfying a test or requirement. His future depended on his passing that test. Going by something that is moving in order to get in front of it. She drove but well, but her reckless passing of every car on the road frightened me. Of advancing the ball by throwing it. A team with a good passing attack. To an extraordinary degree. She was a surpassingly beautiful woman. Euphemistic expressions for death. Thousands mourned his passing. The motion of one object relative to another. Stellar passings can perturb the orbits of comets. American football. A play that involves one player throwing the ball to a teammate. The coach sent in a passing play on 3rd and long. Allowing you to pass, e.g., an examination or inspection, satisfactorily. A passing grade. The end of something. The passing of winter. A death that results from a wrongful act or from negligence. A death that can serve as the basis for a civil action for damages on behalf of the dead person's family or heirs. Sudden and unexpected death of an apparently healthy infant during sleep.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.